I'm going to bring it back to a discussion I had on the weekend with someone I know that you'll be well aware of, a friend of yours, I hope, Kevin Campbell. So he joined us and we talked about the game against Leicester, and he felt that as good as Lacazette has been in terms of being the link-up man for Arsenal, what they need is someone who can be the link-up man but can also get you 15, 20 goals a season. And then Arsenal could very well be competing right at the top of the Premier League, that it's almost that missing link. Are you in agreement with what Kevin said? Is that the missing part of the jigsaw here when it comes to the Gunners?
Well, it's one of them. I mean, and it's probably the most important one, Adam, but those players that can get 15, 20 goals these days cost about £80 million. And are Arsenal going to be able to get one of those players when a lot of Champions League teams will be after them as well? So, yeah, they've been trying it. They tried to get Vlahovic, the boy from Fiorentina, who went to Juventus. That didn't quite work. I'm hoping that they can get one, or maybe they'll need two central strikers in the summer. The recruitment's been a lot better over the last year, so hopefully they've got their eye on somebody that they will be able to get into the club. I mean, Lacazette, I don't know what they're going to do with him. Will he want to sign again a shorter contract? Looks like Nketiah's off, so there's going to be a big gap in that position. So it's vital that Arsenal can get the job done in terms of their transfers. But Lacazette's been a very good servant, but, you know, his legs don't move quite as quickly as they once did. He's never quick, but obviously with Aubameyang gone, that's an area of the pitch where Arsenal are short.
Murph, we know where Liverpool stand. They're a top team. They're one of the two best in the country. I don't think anybody can doubt that. The title's been either City's or Liverpool's over the last few years. They're the only ones that have really been competing for it. But where do Arsenal stand for you? Because there's been vast improvements this season. I mean, their place in the table speaks volumes to that. And as they say, the league table doesn't lie either. However, I'm looking at their performances, or rather the score lines and the points gained against last season's top four. They haven't accrued a single one so far. They haven't scored against Liverpool in 6 matches. So what are they? And I think I messaged you in the group early on. We have a chat group to discuss the game as it's happening, because obviously you guys are in the UK. But it's very reminiscent of when Arsene Wenger was in his later years at Arsenal. They do exceptionally well against teams outside of the top four, but doing enough to ensure they themselves finish there, but they're able to see off most of the other teams in the division to get that Champions League spot. Do you think they've improved back to that level now?
I think they're improving from where they were, definitely. This is a stable team. That you can see what they're trying to do. There's a philosophy, there's a good shape. The manager's very, very focused and single-minded on the way he wants them to play. I like the way they're playing. The fans seem to be on board with it. I think they've been too reliant on young players. You never want that as a top club. You want to integrate young players who are talented whilst you've got senior players helping them along the way, especially in attacking areas. You know, when you think Emile Smith-Rowe's the top goal scorer, for example. So going back to the original point, I think, yes, a centre-forward, 1 or 2 players in attacking areas is going to be needed to bring someone in who's got some experience and maybe some European experience to share the load. I mean, Martinelli was terrific. He showed some brilliant skills and desire to get past people tonight. But you shouldn't be relying on Martinelli, Saka and Emile Smith-Rowe. You can't. You need some senior players around them. But I think there's really positive signs. I think you can sometimes get a little bit distracted by looking at the performances against the top teams, especially in the last year or two when City, Liverpool and Chelsea last season, and this being so brilliant and so powerful. The strength and depth those 3 squads have is remarkable, really. So Arsenal need to improve. I would imagine another midfielder as well. I think they need a bit more legs in there to help Partey. I'm not sure Xhaka's the answer long term. But overall, they've got the nucleus of a very good team. So you're looking at adding bits rather than making wholesale changes. And there's far more positives than negatives at Arsenal right now. And that's a different place than they've been in previous years. There's so many positives, and there's a lot to a lot to build on.
Just picking up that comment you said about the age, it's the youngest in the Premier League by some distance. They're the only side with an average age below 25 in the Premier League. But Alan, I find this interesting here because there's no standout star in this Arsenal lineup. Yes, we know Saka is good, Martinelli, Odegaard, Ramsdale, Ben White, Gabriel, but they're not of the superstar status which they've had in the past, like Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang or Mesut Ozil, or you look at other clubs, like even here today, Mo Salah is a superstar. Do you think Arsenal should continue that approach where they get very good players who are either on the cusp of being stars, or maybe perhaps they might not reach that level, but they would be better for the team, more beneficial? Is that the right approach from Mikel Arteta?
This is the market that they're in, Adam, not being able to buy ready-made stars. They can't compete financially in that area. But listen, Mo Salah at 21 wasn't a star. You know, he went to Chelsea. I don't know what age he was, but it didn't work out for him there. But the boys that we looked at tonight, the likes of Martinelli, he's going to be a world star. You know, Saka, Smith Rowe, Odegaard, they're all going to be top players. I mean, they're very good now, but as they mature, they're going to be the envy of many clubs. It is a question of patience. It hurts tonight in the way that it did losing against Manchester City. I know there was a sending off in that game. This was a little different. It does hurt, but they're still on that uphill trend. You know, they finished 8th last couple of seasons, and whatever happens from here on in, there's been an improvement, a big one.
Well, what do you want to see? And I really want Murph's comments here because he's the one who brought up that Arsenal needs some more experienced players. So what do you think? Experience or invest in more youth for you, Alan?
Yeah, I know. I agree. I agree with Danny that it's that blend. It's that blend. But what I'm saying is that they've had to be in the market for maybe untried players. You know, the likes of Tomiyasu coming in. Tavares, Lokonga in midfield. These were players that the top clubs probably weren't too interested in, but they were taking a punt on them. And with good coaching, that gamble can pay off. Yeah, I think they need a midfielder. You know, Tielemans, I think, might be available in the summer. He could be one that could come to the Emirates. He's that kind of profile, somebody in the mid-20s who's got a good track record behind him. So, it's tough, isn't it? It's a competitive transfer market, and you've got to have your act together. So it's a big summer coming up for Arteta in order to kick on again after this season.
And in fairness, Murph, we have to say Arsenal had an outstanding transfer window last summer, bringing in Ramsdale. I know that you highlighted he made a mistake today, but throughout the course of the season, you could argue he's now preferred by many fans to Jordan Pickford for the England setup. Not saying it's going to happen, but you never know based on form. Ben White has come in. Tomiyasu, like we've mentioned, has come in. So if they can continue that, well, next season they could be pushing maybe higher than 4th. Murph, are you there?
To be a lot more focused on young talent who's going to grow and build a squad with Arteta and grow with him, if you like, which is the right way to go. I'm talking about so for example, if you look at Manchester United last season, when they brought in Cavani, who added so much to them last season in terms of helping some of the younger players in the attacking areas and turned up in some of the big games, that know-how in front of goal at certain times to get them over the line. I mean, there's not too many of them about. That's the problem. And even if you go for an older guy who's been there and done it, who isn't as in demand as he once was, you're still going to have to pay a certain amount of money. And it's whether the club want to pay huge amounts of wages to a senior player who's maybe just past his best but can still have an influence. Because if you look at how they've done since Aubameyang's left, there seems to be a bit more freedom and a bit more calm around the place and not as many headlines and not as much drama. So it's a catch-22 sometimes with senior players. You want that experience, but you don't want the drama that comes with it. You see Ronaldo at United this season. I'm not suggesting Arsenal could have got Ronaldo, but although he scores wonderful goals and has had his wonderful moments, there's been a lot of drama around it too. And you could argue that some of the younger players, I mean, initially before the problems with Greenwood, but Greenwood, Rashford, even Sancho to a degree, have been held back a little bit because of the amount of games Ronaldo was playing earlier in the season. You know, Rashford started the season, and so did Greenwood, and both of them obviously haven't played as much. But I think there's a delicate balance in the transfer market to get in a good, young, healthy, hungry squad, but adding those little bits of experience that guide them through. You look at the Liverpool side now; it's got a really nice blend, as has Man City's, to be honest. So yeah, it's never easy, and there's no exact science to buying players. You're going to get the odd one wrong, but I think it's certainly fair, and I agree with Alan to say that recently the recruitment at Arsenal has been much, much better, and it looks like Arteta is having a huge say on the players he wants, Al.
Yeah, no, I think he is. He's more in line with Edu, the director of football. I think that's his title. But they've been stung, haven't they, by signing players on high wages. Obviously, Aubameyang, Ozil, and they've offloaded quite a few players, whether on loan or selling them last summer. So they've got the wage bill down. It gives them a bit of leeway now to go again, I would imagine. But they don't want to get into a situation where they've got players on the books that aren't performing and are draining on the resources. So I think because they have been stung, they'll be extra careful that they bring in the right people.